thank you for coming. And can we give a round of applause to our speakers who took their time to come here, you know, without asking for more. So thank you so much for the Wi-Fi experts that are speaking here today. Hope it's going to be a good day. I'm pretty sure it is. Is anybody still standing that wants to sit, or is anybody still in the back who wants to come to the front? There's still seats back here if you want to, you know, sit up front, just so you know. So yeah. I have something like 40 minutes, and I thought we're going to divide this into two parts. So first we'll look at some like real-world Wi-Fi stuff using a real-world demo, and then we'll do some death by PowerPoint later. Is that a fair division there? So not all PowerPoint, not all demo, but a little bit of both. How many of you have used this? Okay, quite a few, like half of you guys. How many don't really know what this is? Be honest, you can be honest. So. Okay, not too many. Just a quick recap of like what is Wi-Fi and what comes to Wi-Fi and what probably makes it work or doesn't. So here we have.
This is a bit distracting.
Thank you, Anthony. I will promise to wear it later. Just put it there. So here we have the 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi space. There's nothing that we see now, channels 1 through 11, and obviously here we have the 5 GHz Wi-Fi space. A lot more space on 5 GHz, as you can see, a lot more frequency there to utilize. So that's probably your primary choice of Wi-Fi communication these days. So why are we not seeing anything? Because I'm not showing anything yet. So let's look at Wi-Fi APs in this space. What can we see? Access points and channels 1, 6, and 11. Is that good or bad?
It's good.
It's good, exactly. It's very, very good. Then, is this good or bad? And there's several in the same channel. Yeah, not quite as good. But still it's better than having those access points somewhere in the middle. At least these guys know of their existence and they can back off when the other guys don't. So that's pretty good. What is this that keeps popping up? This is probably a bit further away because it has lower signal, but it keeps popping up. 40 megahertz channel AP. It keeps coming on and off because it's, you know, way far away. There it is again. That's a big no-no on 2.4 GHz space. So this guy, when this guy talks, all of these guys don't, or they get hurt. So that's not very good. Do not do 40 MHz on 2.4. Okay, so we have access points, channels 1, 6, and 11. That's good. What else do we have? Let's look at the energy in the air. So there is stuff going on in the Wi-Fi all the time, as we can see, right? These APs seem to be transmitting every now and then. Is it good or bad? It's neither. It's normal. There's activity in the Wi-Fi network. We can see it's probably working. And based on this, what we're seeing here, this is a bit tough to. I can have one of those. Oh, thank you so much. How about a round of applause for our service? How was the food, guys? Yeah, you guys know what we're doing. Thank you so much. So this doesn't tell us that much. So let's average it out a bit. So look at maximum density. Here we can see we're now averaging out those results and color coding them over the last, 10 seconds. So we take a time slice of the last 10 seconds and then we draw colors based on how much energy there is in the air. And as we can see, yeah, there's energy everywhere, and actually this channel 6 is pretty utilized. Who tried to connect to the Wi-Fi network today? How was it? Honest?
It doesn't work.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, right, isn't it? So what's wrong? Why doesn't it work? I mean, the service is awesome, the venue is good, so what's that? Yeah, it's just a single channel, it's just one AP. Now I see somebody is actually trying to heavily utilize the network and even succeeding at it, so So good for that person, that one person who happens to get connectivity. So let's take a look at like what's going on here. Certainly on this channel there's several APs, but is that really the problem? Let's take a look at the utilization, how utilized the channel is. I mean, the colors are not very intense. So let's look at channel 6. 24, 28%. Keith, is that overloaded channel? No, it's good. It's good. That's about where we would expect a good utilized Wi-Fi network to be. So the Wi-Fi is not overloading. The Wi-Fi seems to be working okay. What else do we have on that channel? So this access point, I'm actually associated to it as well, as you can see. It's on channel 6, and it supports B, G, and N. Is that good or bad? Yeah, not that good. I guess given that all the B rates are enabled from 1 to 144. So this means that you guys have Ferraris in your pockets, but this this road doesn't really support that. It's a bumpy road. Or insert some other Wi-Fi analogy here. But the point being that even though this is like from 1 meg on, the area is not overly utilized because of it. So is it a Wi-Fi problem really? I don't think it's a Wi-Fi problem. It's probably a backhaul problem. So the Wi-Fi is working every now and then. And if you go to, hey, let's do an exercise. Those of you that are associated to Wi-Fi network and can do it and have speedtest.net app, try and do a speed test right now. Let's see how utilized we can make the Wi-Fi network at its peak. So I'm going to show the channels view. Right now we're building towards 40% channel utilization. So this is like where voice would start cutting off if everything else was perfect. Let's see if we can make it higher. 46, 48. Yeah. So if anybody's doing the speed test, what kind of results are you getting? In the morning we were getting something like up between 10 and 100 kilobytes per second per user. So it wasn't, you can't even load the web page. Anyway, all I'm saying is this is how you quickly look at what's going on with the Wi-Fi, but most often, or pretty often, it's not a Wi-Fi problem. It's often the backhaul problem. It can be a DHCP problem. It can be something else. And that leads us to Mr. Keith Parsons. He will talk more about this in your presentation, won't you? So that's all good. So that's just about the kind of on-the-spot analysis of the network. And this data is coming, as you probably know, from our Wi-Fi measurement device. So you don't need any dongles, anything like that. All you need is one device, and you can pretty well understand the entire Wi-Fi network. I just think it's interesting to look at what's going on. Another example, our hotel. Anthony actually pointed it out. You did a Wi-Fi scan in our hotel, and all of the Wi-Fi channels were pretty much utilized from 1 to 11, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's good utilization, right? But still it worked. Still it worked because the backhaul was so strong. So you can build a pretty bad network and still make it work. Anybody do the speed test? Fails. Yeah.
I'm getting up to 64%.
So it might be, let's conclude. Just one AP in this network, in this space, absolutely not enough for this. What should one do? And it's on 2.4 gigahertz. Is it a good idea to have everybody associated on 2.4? Well, actually, maybe surely there has to be several radios on 5 gigahertz, right? Surely there has to be a good 5 gigahertz network here that we just haven't looked at. We've been only looking at 2.4. Let's look at that great 5 gigahertz network that we have just been missing, right? Oh, wait. What? Yeah. There's no. But there's something now. There's more than in the morning. There was nothing here. So let's see what it is. HCC. Somebody's running mobile hotspots. And mobile hotspot at 40 megahertz. Is that sure? That's why not 160 at the same time? So here we can see that there's absolutely nothing except for these mobile hotspots here in this space. All this unutilized spectrum. We're using 1 channel on 2.4. We're using 0 channels on 5. Keith?
Share that.
Yeah, because
I need to get on, so we'll share.
yeah, the gentleman who has the Pixel phone, if you can share your hotspot with all of us, what's the password? Or lady? Or not? I think in Apple there's like a 5 device limitation on the more personal hotspot at least. So anyway, that's how this Wi-Fi is designed. Let's take a look at some slideware next. So this is a talk I was supposed to have at the CWNP conference 2 weeks ago in San Diego. They give me 13 minutes of talk time, out of which they ate 8 minutes from the beginning. So I had 5 minutes to talk, so I didn't do this presentation. Anyway, so what I wanted to talk about is a bit looking at the future and one of the key problems that we've been seeing with Wi-Fi. Look at that PowerPoint ad, PowerPoint. So we'll talk about the future. About me, my name is Jussi. I'm janitor at Ekahau. We make Wi-Fi design tools. Anybody here on Twitter? Good. Anybody here not on Twitter? Are you interested in Wi-Fi? Yeah, go on Twitter because a lot of Wi-Fi guys are there. It's a great way to communicate, read the latest news, all that kind of stuff. This is my Twitter handle, so you can see who I follow. I follow Keith, and I follow Mark, and I follow Stephen Cooper, and all of those guys. So check out who I follow. You don't need to follow me, but check out who I follow. Those are all Wi-Fi geeks. And you can go from there. But it's a really fun medium. Like Keith will not, like you send an email to Keith, he will not respond. He will not pick up his phone. He's a busy guy. But he will respond to your direct tweets. Right? So this is what we're going to talk about today. There's a lot of bad Wi-Fi, but there's a text CWNE here. So there's a pretty limited number of experts that have to go against that bad Wi-Fi. Is this what we're seeing today? At least we as a Wi-Fi tools vendor seem to be running into this. So think of all the Wi-Fi in the world, not just your network, not just the Wi-Fi in Sydney, but the Wi-Fi in Indonesia and Japan and at your nearby airport and at the congested hotels and the hotels in Southern Europe and ask yourself, like, how does it typically work? Like, how much of that Wi-Fi, I'm not talking about that, best stadium in the United States, I'm talking about average Wi-Fi. How well does it work? When you go to a random hotel in southern Italy, it's rubbish. Exactly. So think of all the Wi-Fi in the world, not home Wi-Fi, because home Wi-Fi is easy, but not home Wi-Fi. Like, how much of that is bad? And if we had to define bad, let's say bad would be like at least 10% of the users are having problems at least 10% of the time. Like a subset of users is having problems a subset of the time. That's bad Wi-Fi. It's not that it's broken all the time. It can be bad that it's broken some of the time for some of the users. How much of Wi-Fi is broken 10% or more of the time for 10% or more of the users? Anybody? 90, exactly. That's exactly the same answer we got at the Wi-Fi Design Day a week ago in London. I was like, first I started scratching my head, like, is it 20%? Could it be as high as 50% or even 80%? But yeah, because this is not just your good network. This is all the Wi-Fi in the world that we see. So let's say it's 80%. So let's be fair. So 20% is good Wi-Fi, 80% is bad Wi-Fi. So what does that translate to? If we look at the annual WLAN AP, enterprise AP market, it's like 5 billion, and average cost is blah, 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 and APs per year, let's say 10 million. So in the last 10 years, let's say 100 million APs have been sold. Enterprise Wi-Fi APs, 100 million. Think about those APs. If you stack them up, how many times can you go to the moon and back? especially if they're serious. So 100 million APs. That's a lot of APs. So good Wi-Fi, 20 million APs. Bad Wi-Fi, 80 million freaking good enterprise-grade APs producing bad Wi-Fi. That's not good now, is it? And here's the dilemma that I think is pretty important. There's 300 CWNEs or like true certified vendor neutral Wi-Fi experts against those 100 million APs, right? It's a bit of an imbalance there, if you don't mind. And is this gap, these guys are being trained more and more, so there's more and more CWNEs, so is this gap getting bigger or smaller? I wish it was getting smaller. There's more and more of these guys, so you're right, it's going this way. But what about the number of APs? It's escaping faster. So even though CWNE or CWNP organization and all of those guys are training more and more experts, look at this fancy animation. They're training more experts all the time, but is it enough? Is it enough? We don't know. At least it's a good effort. And we have, by the way, we have our own training program. If you haven't heard, the Ekahau certified survey engineer, Keith and his team do the trainings. You have about 13 trainers, 150 courses this year, all of them 4 days. Dicker as well as Intech, our partners here, are hosting those classes. So if you're interested in good Wi-Fi, bad Wi-Fi, designing Wi-Fi, using a certain vendor's tools, go take that class. It's really good. These guys are the the absolute best trainers and absolute best Wi-Fi minds in the industry that teach you. But anyway, no matter how much we do, like CWNP, Ekahau, Cisco, CCNP, all of that, Aruba, ACMX, still not probably enough. So the challenge is these guys are not very engaged in Wi-Fi, are they? Think of your typical IT administrator at the site. How much stuff does he have on his plate? A lot. And how much of that is Wi-Fi? How much time does he have for Wi-Fi? Not too much. Oh, join all hands Wi-Fi, says my computer on the other screen. That's a tempting idea, but I won't. So the problem is that IT administrator at the site is very busy, and he doesn't have time to get a 4-day training, or at least that's what he thinks, and his boss won't allow him the resources. He has very little time to concentrate on Wi-Fi, that poor guy. But what if we had means and interest to engage more and more of these guys as a part of our mission to improve Wi-Fi everywhere? What if that was possible? And we started thinking of this like years ago, and then we started thinking like, what are the missing pieces that we're seeing here? So we would like to involve these and get these guys. Oh, my slides are off. Get these guys engaged with that. And last week, by the way, we had a Wi-Fi design day. This same thing in the UK, in London. And I talked about engagement, how to engage these people with good Wi-Fi. And I looked it up on Wikipedia. Again, Wi-Fi design day in UK, and Wikipedia says, Britain's continued engagement in open trading. Anybody have heard of Brexit ever? Britain's continued engagement.
Just easy one.
So, what if these guys here, your busy IT admins, could do the basic tasks for collecting Wi-Fi data and doing basic Wi-Fi analysis? Maybe that would help, those expert guys back there as well. What am I trying to say? So if we did some basic education for these guys more and more, and there's good initiatives. We have free training videos. WLAN Pros, Keith's organization does that. CWNP has some free stuff as well. What if we train these guys a little bit, if they manage to motivate themselves to be trained on basic aspects of Wi-Fi, and we provided easier to use tools for these guys that also how do I say this? If the tools also increase the amount of engagement between the IT admins as well as the experts, maybe that would be something worthwhile. So in this scenario, the IT administrators could do like basic survey walks, and they could even do packet captures, and that sounds scary. How can these guys do packet capture? They can do packet capture, but they don't necessarily need to know packet analysis. Two different things, we need to like make it clear. One thing is to do a survey walk, another one is to design a Wi-Fi network. These guys can walk, but they may not be able to design good Wi-Fi. They may be able to take packet captures, but they may not be able to analyze those packets. They may be able to do basic Wi-Fi analysis. They can see, is there enough signal or not? Is there channel overlap or not? But then, what needs to be done to design a good Wi-Fi network? What needs to be done with those packet captures once they have been collected? How do I optimize my Wi-Fi network? That's expert work, and that's most of you guys. So you guys should be focusing on this, using your expertise, finding new, more challenging problems to work with, keep things interesting, and maybe do a little bit less of, for example, walking around the site. Of course, walking is good for you, I'm all for that, but like in reasonable numbers. So if we manage to do this, the experts could do less traveling and less panicky truck rolls to customer sites. Anybody ever been in a scenario like, oh, their Wi-Fi is broken, you need to go there now? Nobody ever has that, right? Because everything is automated and it just fixes itself, or not. So we want to get rid of this stuff by engaging those guys on the right. And maybe this would lead into just overall better Wi-Fi, but at the same time for you expert guys, better profit margins. Because you're now doing expert work instead of the walking work. So Ekahau and the entire Wi-Fi industry is to blame in a way, us very much included, for the fact that this hasn't happened. Because our business is and continues to be to do expert tools for Wi-Fi experts. But that means we've been only making surgical knives instead of at times making band-aids as well. Because sometimes this is all you need to troubleshoot those Wi-Fi problems. So this is the most popular Wi-Fi tool probably in the world. And is that easy to read for somebody who doesn't know Wi-Fi? I don't know, it's easy to read these characters and the fonts, they're good, but for somebody who doesn't know Wi-Fi, it's, you know, it can be a bit cryptic. And then, so it's very technical, it's a very good tool, but for a Wi-Fi newbie, probably not that good. And then on the other hand, there's, for some reason I chose speedtest.net by Ookla. So this tool is great at showing how your Wi-Fi is performing, but it doesn't show any cause and effect. It shows you, you know, this is what you're getting from your Wi-Fi plus your backhaul, right? So it's like, this is your total throughput. So perhaps there should be something in between that makes this collaboration possible, engages the IT administrators. So here's, you saw the surgical knife. So this is the surgical knife, right? So how long would it take, and how motivated is the average IT administrator somewhere in Oklahoma to, you know, set up this kind of a setup for himself before he can start troubleshooting a network or collecting any data? How motivated is he to install drivers and fight with the USB, you know, power problems and all that kind of stuff before he can get going? How motivated is he to install all of this software to get going? Unfortunately, not motivated enough. So what we're proposing is a simpler way to, oh, sorry about that, let's get rid of that. There we go, better. So what we're proposing is a solution where, you know, just make it super simple to gather data. We're not there yet today, Ekahau, for example, as a tools provider, but we will be there so that it makes super simple for anyone to gather that data, do very basic data analysis, and then collaborate with these guys that have the expert tools so that they can actually fix those problems, optimize those networks, design those networks. So what? Maybe we should look at our, like, how are we doing things today? How much are we engaging the IT administrators back there? How much are the remote sites engaged in troubleshooting? How often do we do truck rolls to the site? How often do we have panicky problems that we need to solve now but we can't? I have 15 minutes, but I'm only going to use one. So I will save the next speaker more time. You know what? All I'm going to say is, this change, if we want good Wi-Fi everywhere, if we want to start bridging that gap, I think this is a pretty good way to start doing that. But this change doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen without you. And that's why we are already at Ekahau. How many of you have Sidekick? How many of you have an Ekahau Sidekick? So to all of you, we'd like to invite you to start beta testing with us a solution that I can't talk about today. But come talk to us non-publicly there. We will have an Ekahau station or two back there at the breaks. Come talk to us if you're interested. Let's start beta testing that together. We're already in beta, and the idea of the solution is to engage the experts, the basic guys like I just showed here, and just make life easier and better for everybody. The focus is still on the expert tools, but we just need to have something for the more basic IT administrators as well. So this Grant Shelley here, on the back. If you look at Grant, I don't know, Grant, can you wave again? So Grant works for Ekahau. We will be there at the back with Grant during every break and lunch and all that, right? And come talk to us, come see how our stuff works today, and also come see the future stuff that we're coming up with if you have a Sidekick, and sign up for the beta program. All we need is your business card or your email address or whatever, and we'll get going from there. I just really would like to see us start to bridge that gap. So that's all I have.